Hey everyone, this here is the 2024 large scale, but slightly smaller than the last large scale R2-D2 from the LEGO Star Wars line. This cost me $100 US, and I did build it live during a charity stream over on Twitch, and it comes with 1,050 pieces. This comes with everything you see here, but as usual, let's start with the main build. And the main build overall to me is good. The build experience for this is rather different from the 2021 larger version, which had a whole lot of technic on the inside that you had to get exactly right. And a lot of people had issues, especially with the center leg mechanism on that. You know, folks especially weren't as into technic building, you know, because not everybody who's into Lego is into technic stuff. Not everybody who's into more advanced Lego builds and bigger Lego builds is into Technic, and that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly legit. This one does have a Technic based core to it. However, it's much more easygoing. And to me, overall, the build experience for this felt more like the second half of the 2021 build, which is good. It felt more satisfying. It felt more like the amount of progress I was making for the amount of time that I put into it was good. Yeah, just overall, the psychological experience of it, as someone who's more of a fan of the studded based stuff, this worked out well for me. And the end result still looks nice. However, this does not have all the features that you might want out of something of this size. Obviously, you got the nice lean here with the full 3-foot setup for movement, but it does not have a retracting foot. So this, if you want to have just the 2 feet, you just remove this. See, it just goes directly into a hole right there. That's it. And then you just go back to straight. And you know, it stands up just fine. You can do this. Notice there's a little bit of give, a little bit of up and down in there, which makes it good for that little bit of puppeteering. There is a little bit of gap right here. What is that? A half of a plate, or is it a full plate worth of gap under there? Not the best thing to look at from exactly this angle, but almost any other angle is going to be perfectly fine. And it does have the head that can turn around full 360 degrees. That is on ratchets there. These are also ratcheted. The shoulder joints are ratcheted, but there's just so much weight here that tends to feel more smooth. Most of the greebling detail for surface texture is done with genuine building, and you know, there's just less of it here than there was with the one from a few years ago. It does still have some stickers required, so this is a sticker here, stickers there and there. I actually have a misprint with this one, unfortunately. I will contact customer support to get that replaced because it's just offset, and unfortunately the graphic design work had an unnecessary outline put in there, which was just a mistake. I think they should not have put that in there. Had that outline not been there, I would not have this bit of black on the top there, and I think there's a little bit here as well, and it would have been fine. So that's just a mistake in production design by the graphic designer there. This shape I like a lot. Right in here, the fact that they use the sideways building, it's unfortunate that we nowadays have these really noticeable mold marks on the sides of so many tiles, but the shaping is nice. It's very satisfying from many angles. I actually thought from the pictures that there was going to be some silver in there. That was probably silly on my part to think that, but it's not. It's just gray. That's okay. Silver would have been nicer. I like the depth right down in here. That is good. I like the depth back here. The other leg is identical. I like the little suggestion of some detail in here as well. So rather than just having a plain turntable, you have the little indent, or the little outdent actually there. And then looking at the head, got the pink color here, which is correct. The shape of the main eye, you know what? That's probably the best that they could have done at this scale. So yeah, I kind of, looking at the source material, kind of went back and forth on that. Maybe something a little bit taller, not quite as angled in, would have worked better for this space. But I don't know if there's a shape that Lego has that would work better for it. You've got just that little bit of offset off to the side as well, with a little bit of squaring over here. That right there is a sticker, but otherwise, this is the only other sticker used on the head. Little protrusions there are good. Look at the top. This was a welcome surprise, because that's a big print, an exclusive large dish print, 6 stud diameter to it. And it looks really good, and it helps a lot. And I think it's really important to have that. Some folks will probably not like the fact that this has the studded design for the head, but I think it was a good decision for this scale. I think it works well enough. We want stuff to be more smoothed over, but some of these spots could have been smoothed over just a little bit with some small tiles, especially like quarter rounds, but that would have added so many pieces to it. I think it might have busted the budget because there is other stuff with this set, not just the plain R2 and then the extra leg or foot that can be added to it. Too bad about the blue there, but hey, there's blue in the color scheme, so it's not as bad. The set includes extras of these tiles here. So these can be removed from both sides fairly easily. And then you can replace those with these tiles that have other things attached. So you've got the little terminal port comm connection right there, which also is able to fold up and down, but it does not fully retract in. They just don't have the space for that the way that this is built. It's unfortunate that you do have to do this, a little bit of parts forming, but I think it's a reasonable choice. It's not as good for play, that's for sure. You got the manipulator arm over here, and that can be also rotated. Not as good for play at all. But for display, it's perfectly fine. And at least these can be turned down, so you can just imagine, you know, that they're just retracted now, and then when you want to pull one out, you can do that. But I think these are scaled a little bit better to the whole droid than the ones that were able to be flipped out and successfully hidden away on the previous version. And they also have the periscope here. So that can just be attached right there. You can pose it, you know, facing whichever direction you want relative to the head, but once again, does not actually retract in there. And I especially think that this one is just fine. Again, I think it's better proportioned than what they did before. And to get this to fit inside would have required losing so much. So I'm good with this. And this is what it looks like with those attachments added on. Or if I add in the leg, I'm sure to shift it forward like that. There you go. So that's kind of like the most set up version of it. The side builds are the mini UCS style plaque and stand with a minifigure version of R2 included. We'll look at that closely in just a second, but thankfully these days, as promised, is fully printed. Is the primary sensor color actually red? I mean, we usually see it as pink, don't we? I mean, kind of overall, it wasn't the most saturated thing. And then you get this, the 25 years of Lego Star Wars anniversary specialized figure. We'll look at this one closer as well. Comes with the stand. That's a nice print there. And you also get the little connection piece so you can connect it to other anniversary stands that are of this style, because Lego likes its systems every once in a while, and then they'll change the systems. Since I live in North America and the main factory that supplies Lego sets for this region is the worst in the world amongst all the ones that Lego has for quality control, well, I almost always get a very, very crooked print for the head of my Astromechs. This one is one of the best that I've gotten to date. It's still clearly crooked, but it's like acceptable. Usually they're not acceptable. Usually they're bad. However, this one does have a misprint right there with a big old chunk of paint or ink just completely missing. So I will still need to go out of my way to contact customer support to get a replacement for this, which is really a pain in the butt. I don't enjoy that. Otherwise, the design of the R2 there looks pretty good, you know, relative to just what they do today. And thankfully it does have the print on the back, where you need to see that be standard now because they can do it, they have it. This over here on the left, this is your 25th anniversary new specialized limited edition Darth Malak, the first ever Darth Malak from Knights of the Old Republic, old canon, or Star Wars Legacy expanded universe. Doesn't look too bad, but the prosthesis is so thick. I wish it wasn't so thick, because it's a bit much. It's a bit much. I mean, it looks like the whole thing is thicker all the way around than the piece that they use for Darth Vader. I feel like if they had used the same material that they do for that one, they could have made this just more realistic. But it's nice to get a different collectible figure, you know, even something that's presently non-canon, I think is nice to see. And underneath here, so this is a specialized style of cape as well. It's narrower. Underneath there in the back, you also get some additional printing, which is good to see. I want you to see the rest of the printing here for the head as well. because that's actually done pretty well. I like that. Offset just a little bit there, but yeah, look at that. That's nice. I dig it. So it's nice to get this, and overall, a pretty good figure. These are the spare pieces. It's funny that they always give you 2 extra whips per bag that has any of them in it. But hey, I don't mind. It's good to get more of those. They're very useful for custom stuff. And this is what the sticker sheet looked like. So you can see here just how offset that is, how offset the die cut is, which happens more frequently these days than I would like. But again, had this simply been designed without the completely unnecessary black line around there that's not part of the actual print that goes onto the model, then I still would have been able to use that just fine. It's just, unfortunately, this is offset so much that they grabbed some of that in the actual sticker. The price of this was $100 US. It's 100 euros, 90 pounds UK, or $140 Canadian. To me personally, that feels like just a little bit much, but that's okay. Like, I personally would prefer this amount of stuff, including on the inside, like the whole thing, to be in the 80, 85 range, kind of like that. That's what I would personally like. And yes, this does add some value, so that pushes it maybe a little bit beyond that, but I still would like to see this at a little bit of a discount. I think it'd be reasonable to ask for this to be at a discount. And no, I absolutely do not accept the argument from investors and speculators or folks who want to profit off of the investing market, who are going to say, you should get it because of this, and it's actually a great price because of this, because you can hold on to this figure and you'll make a ton of money, because Lego's not about having fun and building in plastic, it's about profit. I don't listen to any of that stuff. I look at what I actually get here. This is a nice bonus. The prints here and here are nice for sure. This, most importantly, the main thing that you're actually paying for here, is good. Some things about it I like to look at better than the 2021 version. For relative to size, is one thing I didn't cover here. The size of the other one, I don't still have the other one, but this stands 9 and something inches tall. The other one's about 12, a little over 12. So the other one's about here in height, as far as, relative sizes. So this definitely does not have the room presence of the other, but you wouldn't know that if you didn't have the other on hand. It's still a very noticeable thing. The colors are bright enough that it'll stand out quite well. The print for the top here is really nice. Just generally, I'm very satisfied with it, and I'm happy to have something that's more accessible to more people. It's still a big old R2. It's unfortunate that the add-on things could not be retracted inside. The add-on things from the previous version, the 2021 version, were very, very poorly sized. So even there, it wasn't great. It wasn't perfect. But, this was definitely a compromise that had to be made. And I personally would have loved a little compartment on the inside where you could put the minifig scale R2 in there. So you have R2 as a mech being piloted by mini R2. That would have been, just imagine if you could have pulled this, opened this up, just stuck R2 in there. That would have been super, super cool. But I prefer that this be a good build, a solid build, which this is. I'm not too worried about too many little things falling off of it. Probably these little cylinders here, 1x1 cylinders, would be the most likely things to get knocked off just from handling it. I mean, just overall, I think this is a successful set. It had compromises required of its design, the entire process, and its budget, but I think that it handled them just fine. And I think that this will bring 90% of the joy of the 2021 version to its target market, most relatively casual folks, for a much lower price, and that's great. Plus, you get this for collecting's sake, and the print's good. Does still have stickers regardless. Stickers weren't too bad in my opinion. All in all, I'm happy with it. Would just like the price to be a little bit lower. Those are just my thoughts though. Take it or leave it. Listen to what I say with a grain of salt. It's entirely up to you, but thank you for watching. Hope that this helped you to at least see something that would help you to come to your own conclusions, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.